So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, I want to talk about Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders saying that he's going to cause the biggest British upset ever. And you'd have to say, I think this would probably be the biggest upset ever by a British fighter on foreign soil. I think it would be up there. I think it would probably be bigger than maybe even Randolph. Oh, I don't know about that. Randolph Turpin beating Sugar Ray Robinson. It'd be up there with something like that. It'll be huge. Canelo's a beast, and right now I don't see anyone beating him. So if Billy Joe Saunders was somehow to go over there and pull it off, that would be, in my opinion, a monster upset. Like, it would be, like, I can't, listen, the thing is, I can't even imagine Canelo losing. So for him to pull that off, that would probably be the biggest upset in British boxing history, or the best win by a British fighter on foreign soil. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so as well. Definitely, if he goes there, because you got to realize Canelo doesn't really have any weaknesses. Where he has a bad chin, or he doesn't have many weaknesses.
Formidable fighter.
He's got the full package. You can't really see how this. How there's a lot of people can't really see how Billy Joe can win. Because Canelo's just so good all around. He's such an all-round fighter, and he's got different styles about him. So if Billy Joe does win, it's the biggest upset in British boxing history. And if he does win, it's a big if. Billy Joe takes his name from nothing to like a British level guy fighting in Britain to it's like that Joshua and Ruiz situation where he goes in and pulls off a massive upset and you become famous.
Become a superstar.
But not a superstar, but you become a figure. You become everyone will know him in America. Oh, Billy Joe's the guy that beat Canelo.
But that's what I mean. You become a superstar. Like Randy Ruiz, he became a superstar.
Yeah, he did.
Right? And because right now, when you mean British level, you mean he's like known in Britain, but small level.
That's what I mean. I'm not
saying
not
he's
even British level fighter.
If you know Billy Joe Saunders, obviously he's a world level fighter. He's a world class fighter in terms of he's world champion. What I mean by British level is that the guy's not that famous. The guy's not that well known. Even here in the UK, Billy Joe Saunders is like not that. Apart from the hardcore boxing fans, like if I was to speak to a lot of my mates, they won't know who Billy Joe Saunders is. Like, like some of the famous boxers in the UK are like Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Amir Khan, possibly guys like David Haye, but these are like some of the big names, like, some of the like famous names that, people would know who they are. If you take these names anywhere in the UK, people know who they are. Like if you go to, Birmingham and say Amir Khan, everybody knows who he is. Anthony Joshua, everybody knows who he is. Like, whereas Billy Joe Saunders doesn't have that kind of name. He doesn't have that kind of, that following. And if he was to pull this off, it would be huge because, like I said, like you just pointed out, that his profile will go through the roof. And then obviously the money he would make in a rematch or in any other fight would be monstrous. Look at Andy Ruiz. Since he's beat AJ, look at his life. Even though he lost a rematch, look at the fact that even everybody now is talking about his comeback. When you have a win like that on that kind of level, you become a star. You become a huge player in boxing. So if Billy Joe Saunders was to pull this off, it's going to do a lot. Not even, for example, if he was to lose to Canelo in a rematch, imagine what it would do for his career. Not just forget in boxing, but outside, there'll be opportunities financially that open up for him. So like I said, there's a lot. If he was to pull this off, there's a lot of strings attached. There's a lot of things that will come his way if he manages to pull this off against Canelo. Like not just his name going through the roof or becoming a superstar, but there's a lot of things attached with beating Canelo. And then obviously the fact that you beat the pound for pound king would be the icing on top of the cake. So really, if I'm honest with you, there's, like I said, Billy Joe's got nothing to lose. Nobody expects him to win, right? He's got everything to gain, because even if he was to lose in a very competitive fight, right, he gains a lot of, everyone's going to be like, well, you know what? He's a great fighter. He managed to give Canelo Alvarez, the best pound for pound fighter, a very, very tough fight. No one expected him to do that. So Billy Joe Saunders, for me, has got everything to gain, not a lot to lose in this fight. You know, it's kind of like a free swing, you know. And I know, listen, if you lose, your pride will be hurt and all that, but no one's expecting him to win, right? No one's expecting Billy Joe Saunders to go in there and win that fight. Even his own friends like Ben Davison are saying that it's not a 50-50 fight. Canelo's a favorite. He's saying, yes, I believe Billy Joe Saunders can win the fight, and I believe Billy Joe Saunders has the style to beat Canelo. But even he's saying it's not a 50-50 fight, and that's his mate. You imagine, like, what I'm saying, even his friend doesn't have him the favorite in the fight. You can imagine how, you know, you can imagine how much of an underdog he is. So if, like, your friend is saying that, you know what, you're not the favorite, the other guy's the favorite. Imagine what people on the outside are saying that have no connection to you. What do you make? What do you make of it?
It's like no one really. It's like just another defense for Canelo. People are not really seeing this as a challenge.
In America, they just see him as another UK Euro bum. That's what they view it like. Exactly. They don't view Billy Joe Saunders as a tough fight. They want to see him fight the American lot, like Andre Charlo. They want to see him fight them guys. They don't really want to see this Billy Joe Saunders fight. So if Billy Joe Saunders ends up getting wiped out in 7-8 rounds, they're just going to say, oh, he just beat up on another UK bum.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I kind of feel... listen, man, I hope he puts in a good performance just so we get to see a good fight. But it's one of them. Like, I just think Billy Joe's got a free swing. Don't you think? He's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, even if he loses... You know, if anyone has anything to lose, it's Canelo, because he's taking the risk. Billy Joe, he's expected to lose. He's expected to go there, get wiped out in 6-7 rounds. You know, as people expect. You know, he's not really meant to be a threat to Canelo. He's just someone that, you know, he's just picking up another world title and then get to Caleb Plant. Even someone like Caleb Plant, it's the same thing. It's just people are going to view it as in the same light that it's just going to be another win for Canelo. It's just he's people rate him that good, which he is. It's a stiff test, certainly, to go out into someone's backyard as well and get a victory. It's a very difficult, very, very difficult. But if he does pull off the upset, that has to go up. That has to be the biggest shot.
What chance do you give him of pulling off this upset?
I think obviously I've already given you my opinion. I think I'm backing him. I'm backing him to pull off the upset. I think if anyone can pull off an upset. I think he has the attributes to pull off the upset. I might be wrong. I don't know how good he is, but we'll see when obviously he gets in there, if he does have the attributes and skill set to pull it off. I wouldn't be surprised if he was to lose, but I wouldn't be surprised either if he was to win. Because as I said, I do believe if anyone is going to give Canelo trouble and beat him, I think he has the attributes to cause him that problem.
Are you looking too much into the Lara fight, which was 7 years ago? 7-8 years ago.
I'm not even looking into the Lara fight. I just think that the style Billy Joe has, regardless if he fought Lara 7 years, I just think it's an awkward style. So you got to realize, if for those 12 rounds, Billy Joe puts the fight of his life up, and he does manage to not get hit. He does manage to, you know, he's going to get hit. That's regardless. Canelo's too skillful for him not to get hit. But if he can put a stellar performance together in those 12 rounds, right, and he does put a masterclass together, because you got to realize it's about those 36 minutes, how you perform under those lights. You know, anything's possible in those 36 minutes. You know, if he puts up a stellar performance, that's it. It's his night. You know, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I do believe that he definitely does have the skill set to pull off an upset. But it is an upset either way. It's a massive, massive upset, because, you know, most people have it 90% Canelo, 10% Saunders chance, maybe even, you know, slimmer than that. So you got to realize that people are expecting him to get knocked out in 6-7 rounds. So, you know, I would, like, for example, that fight, I wouldn't put my house on it, because that'd be stupid. But obviously my opinion on it is, if someone does have the skill set, that's my opinion. But, you know, everyone has their own. Some people might think Caleb Plant has a skill set to cause problems. You know, everyone has their own opinion, but I think if anyone can do it,
See, I don't think anybody beats Canelo at 160 or 168. And to be honest with you, I don't really think Billy Joe Saunders is going to be a tough test. Now, I might be wrong, but I just think stylistically, I think Canelo is going to wipe that kind of style out now. I just think, I don't think Lara had a similar style to Billy Joe. I think Lara, I think Billy Joe Saunders is more of a mover. I think Lara is more of a static guy that uses, he uses his legs, but I think he uses his head movement. I think he's a bit different stylistically to Saunders. Saunders is more of a mover, and I don't think that type of style is going to work against Canelo, because I feel like a mover is going to waste too much energy, and generally movers get tired.
By the way, just 1 second, just regarding Billy Joe's last performance, if he fights like that against Canelo, he gets stopped in 5-6 rounds.
Oh yeah,
the way he fought in his last fight against Martin Murray. That's if he fights like that, taking shots and stuff, that's not, like, we all know, like, I watched that fight, and Canelo would knock him out in 6-7 rounds like that. He can't fight. He ain't going to be fighting like that. If he does, we'll be able to see he'll get knocked out in 5-6 rounds. He can't be fighting like that, like just standing there, just being. He looked very sloppy in that fight. If I was honest to you, I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie.
To be honest with you, like, he's always looked sloppy to me. Like, even in the Lemieux fight, even in the Andy Lee fight,
he was a lot more sharper in those fights.
Yeah, sharper, but he looked sloppy. If you look at the way he's doing, like, he's always looked sloppy. Like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, he's slippery, but he's sloppy. Like, he's like got awkward, like, sloppiness about him. Like, Andre. Like, when people say Billy's slick, I don't think he's that slick. I think sometimes he's quite sloppy. I think if you're gonna talk about slickness, that's Andre. Andre's silky slick. But with Billy Joe, I think he's more sloppy, awkward. He moves around. He's a mover. But when I think about it, I just don't think Canelo's gonna have any trouble. Especially, I feel like Canelo's gonna start bashing him to the body, start hitting him hard to the body, and stop the movement. And I think Billy Joe, after 3 or 4 rounds, will start becoming more static. And when he does, I just think Canelo. I think he's gonna get tired. And I personally see a brutal knockout in this fight. I just see Canelo brutally stopping. But again, I don't know. It's one of them where what I've seen from Billy Joe so far kind of gives me I would be saying that he's going to get beat and going to get beat by knockout, looking at what he's done so far. But at the end of the day, maybe Billy Joe's got levels that we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We don't know. We don't know, but maybe he has, maybe he hasn't.
Because you got to realize those fights he fought like against Martin Murray.
If he fights anything like what I've seen him fight before, he's not beating Canelo. So unless there's something else he's got on Fight Night against the pound for pound great in Canelo, I don't see anything that he's done so far in his career that I think will be enough to beat Canelo. That's just my honest opinion. I might be wrong, and that's not hating on the guy. That's just telling you what my opinion on it.
The fact of the matter is, we don't really know how good the guy is.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Because he's not really fought someone at that level where it was supposed to be such a hard fight. Like, he never got the Golovkin fight at that time where we could see that how good he. You got to realize, going in with someone like Golovkin and Canelo, that's when you then see how good you really are.
I think Golovkin would have had an even more dangerous style for Saunders.
Probably, but the thing is, you got to realize that those are the type of fights you have to get in. Then people know how good you really are. Then they appreciate how good you really are. Like, if he goes in there and shows his class, and does pull off the upset, then you got to realize then that takes him over the roof, because then people will actually start to believe, yeah, he might be this guy, that's this stupid type of guy, but he does have talent. At the moment, not many people know, if he has talent or not, and he has to prove it. He has to prove it.
No, everybody knows he's got talent. It's just the fact that we don't know how good his talent is. Is it talent where he's not good enough at elite level? I don't personally think he's an elite fighter. I think he's a world-class fighter, but I don't think he's elite. And I think that's going to be the big difference. I just think Canelo's experience, the fact that Canelo's elite, the fact that Canelo's
got to realize he's
more dimensions.
This is a pound for pound number 1 fighter.
Canelo's got more dimensions to him. He's more versatile. He can do a lot more things. Billy Joe Saunders kind of one-dimensional. He's going to have to box and move and box, angles and like all of that stuff. Canelo will work out eventually. So that's what I mean by one-dimensional. I don't think he can't walk Canelo down, right? He can't go toe to toe. He has to fight one way to win the fight. And I just think when you can only win a fight by fighting one way, when you're fighting someone that's got such a high boxing IQ, eventually he's gonna figure you out, and eventually he's gonna start dominating you. You know, when you're fighting like Ricky Hatton when he fought Mayweather, yeah, I know Billy Joe's a different kind of fighter to Ricky Hatton, but Mayweather kind of worked out Ricky Hatton that this guy is only doing one thing. He's coming forward, marching forward, right? You know, being a pressure fighter. But when you're fighting someone as sharp as Mayweather and you're coming in recklessly like that with your head first, you know, Mayweather's going to start picking you apart because he's so much more intelligent than you are. He's seeing that you're doing the same thing over and over again, right? He's figured out your patterns, he's figured out your movement, and he's just going to start picking you apart. And that's what he did with Hatton. And that's what I expect Canelo to do with Saunders. That he's going to be doing the same things, using the same angles. Canelo's going to figure out what he's doing after 2 rounds. And then he's going to say, okay, now it's my turn. And then he's going to start actually setting traps for Saunders. You know, Canelo's a very intelligent fighter, a very patient fighter now. And I think that's what he's improved. I think back then, Canelo used to panic when he was fighting Lara and he was losing a couple of rounds. Canelo, you could see in him that he wasn't relaxed. He was panicked. But when you see him now, even if he was to lose a round or two, he's more relaxed. He's more calm. He's more patient. He knows, he waits for the opportunities.
Even against Khan, he was very patient. He knew it was going to come.
Yeah.
He just knew it was going to come.
That's what I'm saying. That's when I saw that Canelo, the improvement. Golovkin, Khan, like, you know, around that time, I saw improvement from Canelo. That, you know, even though Khan was outboxing Canelo, right? And you could see that he's become more patient. He's become a better fighter, you know. And I just feel like, I feel like, you know, even if he was to be 1 or 2 rounds down against Saunders, I don't think he's going to be overly worried because he'll wait his time. He'll bide his time. He knows that eventually that there's going to be an opening. You know, he'll wait for Saunders to weaken. You know, like I said, he'll target the body, wait for him to weaken, and then he'll look to go in for the kill. You know, like a shark. You know, weaken its prey, then go in for the kill. You know, and I think that's what Canelo's going to do here. He's not, like, he could go reckless if he wanted to, because Billy Joe, like I said, I don't believe, not reckless like going, you know, just go crazy. What I mean is, like, he could potentially go gung-ho with Billy Joe, because Billy Joe hasn't really got that kind of punch power, in my opinion, to trouble Canelo like that. I know Ben Davison was saying in his interview that no, Billy Joe has got the power, and, you know, of course he's a big lump and he could hurt Canelo, and if Canelo tries to walk through him, Canelo could be in big trouble. Nah, like, come on, man, Canelo walked Golovkin down, right? Billy Joe hasn't got the power to hurt Canelo. Ben Davison's talking like, obviously, if Canelo walks forward with his chin up in the air and just letting Billy Joe smash him on the chin, Canelo's very good. He's a very skillful fighter. He's got great head movement. He's got elite head movement, right? Canelo's not going to be going in there just recklessly where, you know, he's going to be letting Billy land flush on his chin with his hands down, and, you know, of course not. So, but when you look at Billy Joe Saunders' career and you look at his record, the man's got less than 50% KO ratio against a fairly weak resume. A fairly, you know, it's not exactly a stellar resume. It's a weakish resume that he's got. He's not fought the elite at 160 or 168, and he's got a less than 50% KO ratio, not even fighting the best in his division. So when you think about that, he's not a big puncher, right? So the chances of him hurting or stopping Canelo is very unlikely, you know. He'd have to win the fight on points. And I don't know whether he's got, you know, the fitness, you know, the durability to take Canelo's punch power for a long period of time, you know. And that's why not many people are giving him a chance. Even British people, like, you know, I saw, what's his name? That guy came on Pep York 2K. Barry, was it? Forgot his name.
Barry, yeah.
Hey?
That Barry guy, yeah.
The guy that used to work for Box Nation as well. Worked for BT, you know. Barry, I forgot, Barry Jones, is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, Barry Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he was basically like, I just don't see how Saunders wins this fight. And I'm kind of like in the same position. I don't really see how he wins this fight. I don't really see how he's going to go 12 rounds with Canelo, not getting hit and being able to take it. I just don't, I don't see it. I don't see it. But I might be wrong. Like I said, we may be wrong. We might all be wrong. But what do you think? Do you think if he pulls this off, there's the biggest upset in British boxing history? Personally, I think it is. But what do you guys think? Is it bigger than Randolph Turpin, Sugar Ray Robinson? Probably. Probably. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.